Well, hey there, this is Jerry, and I'm bringing you another episode of What's Broke Today. And our victim today is it's a Husqvarna YTH24 V54 riding mower, which is, I guess, what I would call a lawn tractor with a garden tractor deck underneath it, because it's got a 54-inch cut. And I mean, and little tires on it. So, and got complaints on it, hard to start, leaks oil, and when I was out driving it, I heard it sound like a bearing noise. So I was going to fire it up and take it for a little test drive. And I was going to say, I mean, it ran okay. Probably the governor might be a little slow. Probably got a lot of dirt and buildup under the deck, because it's taking and kicking all kinds of stuff out the deflector chute. And then, of course, that bearing noise isn't quite as bad after I drove it up here, shut it off, and restarted it. But I'm going to pull the belt off the mower deck, and then we'll go back and re-listen for noise. So, yeah, with the engine running, you can hear that bearing noise. With the clutch pushed in, or let the clutch out, where when I do that, it slacks the transmission belt. Noise doesn't change. But as soon as I engage the blades, the noise goes away, and that's actually going to be the bearing on the pulley on the electric clutch, because when the blades are shut off, the engine still rotates, and the pulley on the clutch doesn't, so there's a bearing in there that turns. So I'm going to say probably isn't a big deal, because most of the time when you're running this, you're mowing anyway. So let's run back down to the house and let's see if I can see where the oil's coming out, because I'd already degreased this before I started the video. Okay, we're back down at the house, and talk about the hard start. Well, on this one, the choke and the throttle are all on one lever, and I'd already figured this one out, because when you move it clear up the choke, and this is being a V-twin Briggs Stratton, when you move it all the way to choke, it lifts this arm to close the choke. And let me turn the light on. And you can see that when the choke's supposed to be closed, it's not closed all the way. So this actually is just a simple adjustment of the throttle cable, because when we adjust it and pull it the rest of the way, then it'll close the choke all the way. So, and how I was starting when it was cold was just opening the hood and just pushing this up the rest of the way, and then cranking the motor. I'm here on the oil filter side, which usually it leaks at the oil pan right there behind the the shrouding in front of the oil filter. And this one actually on this side looks dry. We look dry in the front. Yeah, I come over here to the other side, and I don't know if you can see the reflection of the oil, but it's running down from the oil pan right there near the starter. Good. Now, getting ready to pull this engine off. Take the hood off, of course. Unplug the headlights and get the headlight wires out of the way. Come down here and find the wire going to under the deck for the electric clutch. We want to unplug it, and also unplug the 6-pin connector attaching the engine to the tractor chassis, and unplug it. Now I'm going to take a 7/16 wrench, and on this one, since the solenoid is mounted on the tractor, We just got to take the 7/16 nut off and pull the starter wire off. And we'll come here to the front. We're going to take the throttle, put it all the way down to slow. I'll loosen that up, pull the cable out, unhook it. Of course, we know it was in the bottom hole here. Get the cable out of the way. And I'm going to come here on the sides and pull the 2 1/2-inch bolts out. And then we just push that down and get our heat shield out of the way. And then we can, these top 2 here. When we take these out, of course the muffler falls off. And we'll get all of this stuff out of the way. Take our fuel line. I'm going to take it loose here at the fuel pump. And pull it down and out of its little brackets. And just bring it up here and stuff it down in the hole up here at the top. I'm just going to reach underneath here where that rod goes into the front of the deck. And even there's still quite a bit of pressure on it. This has one of those bow tie clips. But there, I just flipped it up out of there. Then I'll go over here and see if I can find it. Once I get that out of there, I'm going to just lift up on the front of the deck and pull that rod out of the front. And the washer that's on with that rod clip will fall off. Then I take my mow jack and just raise up the front of the tractor. Okay, and then you might look and see how that wire for the electric clutch is routed, but it just goes up and through that hole. There isn't no attachment, anything to actually secure it. And then I can just push that clutch up, pull the bolt out, and then drop the clutch down and pull the wire out. And of course, I'm here trying to work on the mower, and I got Ash here wanting to be helpful. Crawl under the mower with me. Such a good girl. I just gotta get her moved now so I can get back to work. Okay. And once I get the electric clutch out of the way, I'm just gonna pull the brake pedal down a little, grab the other pulley, slide it down, and just push the belt off. And then just pay attention to which side's up and which side's down, because this one is real simple. It's got the little chamfer on the top side that matches up at the top of the crankshaft. I got my impact, a 2-inch extension. I'll reach up here and take my engine mounting bolts out. Go to the far side because there's 4 of these holding it in. Okay. I'll go. I got all my bolts out. I can drop this down. But yeah, make sure you got everything unhooked. And then just take this and pick it up and pull it off. And I'm just going to set it down on this wheel. When you're doing that, be careful so you don't hurt yourself. Okay, now get ready to pull this apart. You can see how oily it is on this side from all that leaking. The first thing I want to do is take the governor arm off of the governor shaft. We'll just loosen that up with a 7/16 wrench. And I just come in here and wiggle that and spread that apart. And most of the time that just slides right off. But if it don't, we can grab that with a pair of pliers and break it free. Okay, now we get that off there. Then we got to pull all these bolts out that hold the pan on. When I pull all these original bolts out, even though they had yellow thread lock on them, you notice how easy some of them come out. And they just, it doesn't appear to me that they put the same amount of thread lock on all the bolts. But regardless, it doesn't matter, because if you get a gasket from Briggs Stratton, it comes with new bolts. Okay, and then we can just and what I'm hitting on is these ears up here. And of course, where I was leaking, see how this gasket right there broke and is inside the sump. So any oil that splashed up right in here came right on out. Next thing I need to do is actually clean all this old gasket off. And some of it's going to peel off real easy, and some of it is going to take choice words to clean off. But I'm going to get started cleaning. So after cleaning everything up, I got my new lower crankshaft seal, and I got genuine Briggs & Stratton parts, and this is a 795387 seal, and then a hammer, my sump, and I had already drove out my old seal. I'm just going to flip this over. I put grease inside the lip of the seal. I've got a big socket here that I can just drive my seal in. So we're good to go there. And flip that back over, and don't lose your oil pump drive shaft. And then I cleaned all the gasket material off, and then wiped down the surface. Look down inside and make sure you don't leave any dirt laying in or pieces of gasket laying here in the bottom. I'll put some fresh oil on the crankshaft. We've got the new Briggs & Stratton gasket, which is a 594195, which comes with a new style gasket that is wider. So when you lay it down on here, there and there, these places where it normally blows out, there's actually more gasket material there. Comes with all new bolts with red Loctite. Make sure you clean out all your bolt holes. When everything's full of oil, it makes a pretty good hydraulic lock. But that oil leaks down out of there, and then that's about the right angle, and then we can try this again. Just flip this over. And you got to be careful sliding down, that when you get down here to the actual seal, that you don't curl the seal up. Like I'm doing right there. Okay. When we get that down like that, we can open our bag of bolts. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I got the cat helper here. And of course we want to make sure we get all these started down in the crankcase by hand. Not just throw our gun on it and drive them down through. I think before I go any farther, I'm going to go get my torque wrench, because I will torque these down to the proper spec. And we'll still need to do some cleaning, but I'm going to clean the frame and stuff, and then probably finish degreasing the motor after I get it put back on. So let me go get the torque wrench. Okay, get ready to run this down. I got my cordless ratchet. I brought 2 different torque wrenches. Another thing, remember, is read the instructions, because it wants you to make sure that the pan is flat before you put it on. Plus, it also tells you on here when you're torquing this to, of course, hand start the bolts, then tighten them 1/3, then 2/3, then final torque. Which, what they're saying is, take the 325 inch-pounds and divide it into 3. So I'm going to do 100 inch-pounds, 200 inch-pounds, and then 325 inch-pounds. Plus, it also gives you the torquing sequence. So I'm just going to start out with and run them down. All right, once I get them snugged up, I got this one set on 100 inch-pounds, and we'll just pull them down until they click. Which I got those pretty close to begin with. Okay, now I'm going to turn this up to 200 inch-pounds. 200. I'll go back and do this again. Okay, and then I go to 325 inch-pounds. And my other one there doesn't go that high, so we'll come here and go 325 divided by 12 is 27, just a little over 27 foot-pounds. So take this and $25, $26. I'm probably going to go about 28 since it was above 27. And we'll just come back here and do this one final time. Okay. And of course, once you're done torquing things, back your torque wrenches all the way off. Don't leave them compressed. Now we're ready to finish our cleaning and then get this thing bolted back up on the mower. Back at the mower, I degreased the frame, degreased the engine. Now it's time to put everything back together, so I'm going to just raise that up in the air just a little. Of course, I got a cat here wanting to help. But I have Ash here helping. And I'm going to use a longer extension when I put all this back together. But while I was looking at the engine plate, after I got it cleaned up, you could see where it looks like the engine had been loose on there because of the way it was wearing on the frame. So I am actually going to put these engine bolts back in and use red thread lock on them, which normally I might only use blue, but basically I may get them all covered in dirt again because I washed them all up and got all the oil off of everything. And yeah, see if I can start that by hand. Okay. That red Loctite all over my fingers now. Oh, but I got that one started. Red Loctite on everything now. Put some on there. Yes, Ash. Don't step on my Loctite. Okay. So just what everybody needs is cats that aren't afraid of noise. Okay. And that one started okay, so I'm going to go to the front first and tighten those two. I'm going to use my long extension because of the axle being there. Okay. Okay. Got that. Then the next thing I got to put on, I got a new belt for the transmission. Mainly because that one was so oil soaked. Had a little bit of wear, but mainly oil soaked. But with it up in the air like this, I can reach under here and pull it off this rear idler. I get it off that idler. Go ahead and set the parking brake for just a little bit. Now I can reach up under here and just pull that belt off the transmission. And reach up under here and pull it off the clutching pulleys. That belt will pull through. I can take the new one and come in from the rear, up and over the plate with the steering gear, and I just bring it up here and get it over the crankshaft, and then with it back this way I can then get it up over the top of the transmission. And let me go to the other side. That rod for the brake being where it is kind of blocks hand access, but come over here, then just work it around the fan on the transmission. And get it inside those belt keepers back there. And get around the belt keepers for the clutching idlers. Then I can get it around that rear idler over here. And then go grab my pulleys. Okay, so went out and got my electric clutch and my engine pulley that I left laying out there where I washed them off. And then I'm going to start out with the engine pulley, or the, I guess, transmission pulley. I'm going to get it started up on there. Get my belt around it and rotate it to till I find the slot on the crank. And I'm going to release the parking brake. That'll tighten the belt up and hold that up on there. Now reach up here, make sure that's in the right spot. Make sure that's on the pulley. 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 Look clear at the back, and that looks good. Everything ready, so when it goes up on there, I can put the bolt in. Oh. Feels like it started. Okay, I'll reach over. I'll walk around to the other side. But what I'm after is I do not want that wire getting caught up in the transmission belt or the deck belt. Okay. There we go. We'll push that up through there, and I'm going to go ahead and plug in the clutch. So that's done. Socket on my impact. Let's see. Some of this stuff's a lot easier when you're not videoing, because you can get in the, because where I got the camera is probably one of the best places for me to be while doing some of this. Then tighten that up, and that's good. Then we can get the impact out of the way. And then grab our deck belt. Put it up around the electric clutch. And then look and make sure it is still on all its pulleys. We come back over here, and I'm going to plug the engine back in. Then take this nut off. Put the start wire back on. Now tighten it. Got our clutch wire plugged back in. Put our headlight wire back through the front. And the muffler just slides up over the end of the pipes. And we lay that up there. Shape, but kind of get it up there. There we go. Okay. Then the last thing I do is put oil in this, and of course this thing uses SAE 30 straight 30 weight. And it's going to probably hold all 2 quarts that I bought. Down. I'll grab our throttle cable. And hook back up to the throttle. And then that underneath there. Now I'm going to take the throttle and pull it all the way to full throttle. Then pull the cable and tighten this up. And the whole key on this is right down here. This lever is our choke. So we want to, when we pull it full all the way, it closes the choke completely. Then when you pull it back to the detent up on the dash, the choke opens up completely. Now the one thing I was just about to forget was tightening up our governor. Because I stuck that up on the shaft that arm and forgot to tighten it up before. So what I've done is I got this where it's pulling, trying to throttle up the motor. So, and speeding up the carburetor is turning this arm clockwise. So likewise, I'm going to come down here and put a 1/4 inch socket on the governor shaft and turn it clockwise as far as it'll go. And then I'm going to tighten up the pinch bolt. And the whole key is I'm turning that little arm that's on the end of the governor shaft down against the governor, that little button. So when the engine speeds up, it'll push that up and slow the engine down. So we're going to do that. And then, of course, as we come up, that slows the motor down. And everything looks good. So then our next step, I'm going to start it up. I'm going to say about a half hour yesterday. Run, mowed, and cut just like it should. So that ought to wrap up our Husqvarna riding mower that you're watching. As usual, like all those thumbs up for subscriber, better join on in because don't tell them what else you're going to see.